Okay, so in this video, I'm going to kind of go over how to create a really simple animated GIF in Photoshop that should work for animated web advertisements. So let's just open up the, one of the last static web ads that you created. I think I labeled this wrong because this is the 300 by 600 size, but just ignore that, please. And then let's say, you open up the PSD file for that, because we're going to be using that in this. So whatever size you want to work with, whichever one you think turned out the best, you can use. So really pretty simple. You just need to go to Window, Timeline, which is down here. So Window in the top menu of Photoshop, and then Timeline. And then the timeline will pop up down here. And then there's this little arrow right next to this Create Frame Animation button. Just make sure it's on there. It might be Create Video Timeline, but you can do Create Frame Animation. You can also, if you want to experiment with the video, but we're doing frame animation. It's a little bit more basic. So click on that and you'll get this to pop up. And so if we have that selected with the white around it, just push copy here to make a copy, and they're exactly the same. These two slides or frames are exactly the same. So when I toggle from one to the other, it doesn't change at all. But we can quickly, change this. So this will be the first slide that shows. So let's make it kind of, some of the elements come in gradually, I guess. So let's do 3 frames. I want you to do at least 3 frames. I want it to look like this when you're done, so make sure you're following along exactly to what I'm doing. Move this over. So if we go over here, let's just say that we want, this graphic and this text, or maybe let's say that the first frame we want the logo to show up. So let's just turn everything off besides the logo on the first, except for the background. We'll leave the background eyeballs on when we have this selected, and we'll leave that on. And then in this frame, we'll bring in like this, and then the text. And in this frame, we'll bring in, the button. So, and then one thing you can do is, notice how it has the time on each frame. So let's, experiment with these. I find that anything under a second is kind of like going to cause somebody a seizure, to have a seizure or something. So definitely maybe 2 seconds per frame at least is a good idea. And then the last frame, it's kind of nice to freeze on it for 5 seconds is what I find. So make sure when you follow along that you make this 2 seconds, 2 seconds, and 5 seconds. So if we play it, you can see it starts off like that. That comes in, and then, oops, we didn't turn back on. Got to make sure that this is on. So we'll play again. There. So that's our animation, and it loops forever, right, currently. But you can make it loop 3 times or once, or you can do other and custom do it, but we'll leave it on forever. So this is all I want you to do pretty quick. We did that in under 5 minutes. So, I mean, you've already designed the ad, so now you can just quickly add animation to it with the timeline panel. And we want to do frame animations, not video animations. So now remember to save this as a PSD file. So we're going to have to go into our documents, graphic design 340. So you should have a folder for graphic design 3. And then we want the Photoshop animated GIF assignment. That's how I labeled it. My project folder, you can do it slightly different, but you want to make it so let's name it animated web ad. I guess I'll name it the correct size since it's wrong. So we want the PSD file, okay, inside of our project folder on your computer, just to keep things organized. And then File, Export. This is very important to do this correctly. So File, Export, Save for Web. So you have to do it this way. You can't do File, Export, Export As. You have to do File, Export, Save for Web. That's the only way that you're going to get a GIF that works. So I tend to do GIF 32. 32 refers to the amount of colors in the GIF. If you go too high, your file size is going to get higher and higher. So if we go to 128, it's going to get substantially higher. We don't really need it to be that big of a file, so we can take it at 32 with 32 colors. And here's the image size, and then push save. And then that will give you, make sure it's going in the right folder, and then save that as a .gif animated ad. And then one good thing to do, if you have that done, is you want to go to that project folder in Finder or in your documents, however you get there, and go to that GIF that you just saved out, so 300 by 600 GIF, and then just drag it on top of the tab of your internet browser. Oh crap, here, let me get that. Okay, so, and then this will show you if it works, which my GIF is working. And I suggest, checking if your GIF works, because sometimes people do file export as, and they do a GIF and it's totally flat. It's not animated. So, it's nice to see it in action on the web browser too. So, yeah, that is what I'm looking for, is that GIF file and the PSD file for Brightspace for a grade for this assignment. And I want you to follow along exactly to what I did in this video.